When Northwestern was rolling under Pat Fitzgerald, what did he do that made that machine go? Also, at the end of his tenure, both on the field and off the field, what unraveled everything? And oh, yeah, that's right. There's a basketball game on tonight. And we're going to hear about all this from a former Northwestern beat reporter. Let's go.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, how on earth are we all doing on another Michigan State basketball game day here? That's right. We're going to talk about that at the end of this show. But to kick things off here on Locked On Spartans, we are joined by David Gold, former editor-in-chief of Inside NU. He knew all the ins and outs of all things Northwestern. So he reached out to us. He said, hey, if you guys need a Northwestern voice, and my goodness gracious, yeah, those are hard to come by, actually. Sure, let's have a chat here. This was an awesome conversation with our guy, David Gold. Very insightful. Talks about what he likes about Pat Fitzgerald, what us Michigan State fans can be a little concerned about. Very honest and raw conversation. Again, get to basketball at the end. But for the first portion, all things football, all things Pat Fitzgerald. But before getting to it, guys, really quick, thanks a lot for making Locked On Spartans your first listen every single day. Now let's get to our conversation with our guy, David Gold. Guys, I've been curious to just know from a Northwestern point of view how on earth they view the Pat Fitzgerald hire from Michigan State, how they viewed his exit at Northwestern, and lo and behold, we got one of these fine gentlemen right here. It is David Gold, formerly of Inside NU, but hey, as a former student, he bleeds purple, point blank period. So, David, let's just kick off the conversation right here. Michigan State hires Pat Fitzgerald a few weeks ago. It comes across the blotter, you hear it on the radio, you see it online. Any way you digest this media, David, your instant reaction was?
What? I was shocked. I really was shocked for two reasons. One, I didn't think Pat Fitzgerald was going to get another Power 5 job. With the way it ended at Northwestern off the field. I thought it was going to be a thing where he would have to go to a lower level and start to rebuild. I mean, obviously, I want to make this very clear. They have settled their lawsuit. Pat Fitzgerald was found that there was no direct evidence linking him to knowledge of what was happening in the locker room. However, and I think we all know, college football coaches run a very disciplined program and know what's going on. So I just assumed that he wasn't going to get a Power 5 job. It wouldn't have surprised me if a place like Western Michigan or Central Michigan, Northern Illinois, any of these Midwest schools would have taken a chance on him. Wouldn't have surprised me at all. And then on the field, they were really bad his last 2 years there post-COVID. 21-22, specifically 2022, where they went 1-11. Their offense was, I think, the second worst in Power 5 at that point, only lower than Colorado, and then Old Dominion was worse than them. They were just a bad football team. And to me, for another Big Ten school to take a chance on him this early, he's been out of the game. When he left Northwestern, NIL and the portal was just getting started. Right. I don't know how he's going to adjust to it. At the time, it was my biggest concern for Fitzgerald at the end of the 2022 season. I was as surprised as anyone that Michigan State took a chance on him, both on and off the field. Look, if you get Pat Fitzgerald from before 2018, 2012 to 2018, Pat Fitzgerald was arguably one of the best coaches in college football. I mean, he did a lot. But that outside of those COVID years, those last few years, I mean, these Northwestern teams were as bad as they come.
Let's stick with on the field right now. We will ask about the off the field, of course, because that is absolutely a part of the Pat Fitzgerald story here. But just on the field, I mean, obviously the offense was not great. And I've said as much on this show, too. Like, please don't hire, like, anyone from his offensive staff.
And who did you go and get?
And, well, I don't know, just a guy by the name of Bajakian, who was the offensive coordinator that kind of tanked things, not just there, but also UMass. Now, I could swallow it a little better because comes in as a quarterback's coach. If this whole thing doesn't take off, I don't think it will be because the quarterback coach was a run hire, but I do understand the reluctance from some state fans and the laughter from some Northwestern fans that see the hire and are like, huh.
Well, that was a great day on Northwestern Twitter, especially with the fact of who Northwestern just hired as their offensive coordinator. And we all got to go from Bajakian to Chip Kelly. Once again, I don't know if Chip Kelly is going to work. And with the quarterback that they just brought in, I'm skeptical, which we'll get to. But I think on the field, Fitz is not an X's and O's guy. He never has been. He has been a CEO, leader, motivator, and he's really good at it. Pat Fitzgerald, you will want to, I know Spartan fans watch that opening press conference, watch him at inside Breslin. They were ready to run through a wall for this guy. And I'll tell this story now. My first night at Northwestern, we had a pep rally, and Pat Fitzgerald comes out, and he's got everyone fired up. He's teaching them the Northwestern fight song. He goes, you need to learn this fight song. So after you do kegs and eggs in the morning and we win against Southern Illinois, we're going to come to the corner and sing it with you. They didn't beat Southern Illinois.
One small problem there.
Yeah. But Fitz isn't an X's and O's guy. So it comes down to who does he hire to be his coordinators? And he's had success in the past. When he hired Hankowitz, who was one of the best defensive minds in the Big Ten,
for sure,
they were really good. 2020, the reason they were really good is they had an okay offense, but that defense was stout as they come. But you also have in 21, Hankowitz retires and he hires Jim O'Neill. And Jim O'Neill was just bad. The defense took a huge step back. The linebackers regressed. Everyone regressed. I mean, the first play of Jim O'Neill's tenure is Kenneth Walker running for like a 75-yard touchdown.
I fondly remember that. That was a good time. I was in the stadium for that one.
It was a great time.
I smiled. That's actually
everyone
the last
but
time
Northwestern.
I smiled.
And then he hired Bajakian. And Bajakian, as I'm sure Michigan State fans have all seen the tweets, they were in the bottom 100. They were under 100 offense the entire way.
Yeah.
And Bajakian, as a quarterback coach as well as an offense coordinator, I mean, they brought in Hunter Johnson from Clemson. They brought in Ryan Helinski from South Carolina. He never developed that next quarterback. The only 2 years they had any success was when he brought in 2 6-years in 2020 with Peyton Ramsey and 2023 with Ben Bryant. Those guys didn't need more development. They were just who they were. So I think if you're a Michigan State fan, your question is not about Pat Fitzgerald as a leader. I think Fitz is a very good leader. And I still believe this to this day that Pat Fitzgerald, guys loved playing for Pat Fitzgerald. Whatever happened off the field, we know about that. But guys loved playing for Pat Fitzgerald. You go back and you look, they love playing for him. The question is, do you believe in Nick Sheridan and Rossi to be your coordinators and lead you out? Because Fitz is not a mastermind on either side of the ball.
I mean, right when he was hired, I came out and I said, okay, that's cool. It's great. I see the vision. Right now, I took the most boring route you could possibly take as someone that talks for a living. I said, it's 5 out of 10. I just got to wait and see who the coordinators are. And they're keeping Joe Rossi. They brought in Nick Sheridan. And I've got some questions about Sheridan. Why did he lose his play calling duties? Why did their offense take such a step back? Why couldn't they run the ball at Alabama last year? But hey, he was really good at Indiana, but was that because of Michael Penix? So I keep talking myself around in circles, but the one thing that it seems like we do know and that a lot of people enjoy is what you said, David. It seems like he is this leader and he can motivate a group, and Lord knows that this fan base here in Spartan country, they needed some more sizzle on our steak. And just like you said, that press conference, I mean, I don't think it was anything too extraordinary, but we were just so starved for any emotion from a head coach.
I mean, he's the opposite of Jonathan Smith.
Fervent. Right, I know.
Pat Fitzgerald at a basket. I mean, the video of him in the hockey crowd, that's what he does. He can fire a fan base up. I just don't know if he's really ready to be. I think the game might have passed him by is my biggest concern.
Well, I mean, I guess it brings comfort in a way, oddly enough. I mean, that, he is just more the CEO guy. And I think that has always been the plan here. He's not going to claim to take either side of the ball completely under his wing, but I hate to say it, it's just a wait and see thing. I mean, and it might not even be wait and see the first few weeks of the season. It might be hey, we could get a formal grading after a year or 2 years. And I'm not in the business of waiting, David. I don't like doing that. I like knee-jerk reactions. I like losing my mind at little things. So I got to be a different person here.
Yeah, you would never have survived as a Northwestern fan.
No, I'm barely surviving as a State fan right now. Here we are.
The thing I would say about Fitz, it seems like he has embraced the portal so far. Whether it's I think it's a tackle out of UConn that you guys just went and got. You signed a quarterback today. The Fitz of old would have taken 4 grad transfers and been well, we're just going to figure it out with our guys and we're going to develop them. And that was my concern in 22 is that team had very little talent that had been developed correctly, and he wasn't willing to go overhaul a roster. Now, I don't know what it's going to be at Michigan State. I mean, the portal's just open and who knows what else is coming.
We got a long way to go. Yeah.
But overall so far, I mean, I'm more surprised that he has really leaned into the portal as much as I didn't think he would.
Yeah, and I think he has to as well, because we've had 40 departures, and that's just in the portal alone. That doesn't even count the seniors. So he's going to have to go in, and he did have that interview that he had on the College Game Day podcast where he talked about going around the programs. He's being a real student. But I also said, too, what else is he going to say? I mean,
that whole interview to me,
like this. I mean,
as someone who's been around Pat Fitzgerald, and like, that was classic Pat Fitzgerald.
Okay.
You want to see a guy who was like, look, he had been out of the game. It was 3 years now. Like, he had to sell himself to programs that he could come back in,
right?
Especially and not with what happened off the field. Yeah, but no other school besides Northwestern, you go 4-20 in your last 2 seasons, and somehow you're not on the hot seat.
Of course.
Like,
so actually,
he was in a very different situation where people at 1-11 start to go, maybe it might be time to have a conversation about this. And I think it was just different there. And I don't think Michigan State fans are going to have the same type of loyalty that Northwestern fans had to Pat Fitzgerald, or the same type of patience.
I would agree with that 100%. Yeah, we're a jumpy bunch, especially, it's understandable why Northwestern was so patient with him. Not only was he a former player, but built up some goodwill, I would say. 10 bowl games, brought you guys to some great years, more than 100 career wins. So
he without a doubt, Gary Barnett made Northwestern football. He brought it back to relevancy with 95 purple to Pasadena. Pat Fitzgerald put Northwestern football as a real point on the map. Just the consistency from 2008 to 2018. Like, you knew when you were going to play Northwestern, it was going to be a tough physical football game, and they might not be that talented, but they were going to give you a 4-quarter fight. And by the end, they just weren't that way anymore. But I don't know. The Fitz tenure at Northwestern is really an interesting look at how much college football has just changed in the last couple of years, because he would have been gone in any other program besides the one in Evanston.
Plenty more to come with our guy, David Gold. But first, need to talk your ears off about Rocket Money, because let's be real. Managing your finances can feel overwhelming between subscriptions you forgot about, bills that keep going up, and trying to figure out where all your money is actually going every month. It's easy to feel like you are losing control. And who has time to track every transaction or hunt down every hidden fee? Well, I actually know someone. They're called Rocket Money. It's that simple. It's your personal finance app that helps you take control. It finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Now, guys, the automatic transaction categorization, it's a game changer. You can finally see exactly where your money is going each month. You can set budgets, set goals, get personalized insights, receive real-time alerts for large transactions, upcoming bills, low balances, and it even consolidates your checking, savings, loans, and investments into a single dashboard so you get a clear view of your entire financial picture. It is so easy with Rocket Money. So let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. One more time, guys, rocketmoney.com/lockedon. And we got to talk about everything that happened off the field too. And of course we've touched on it. I mean, right from the jump of his hiring, and the long and short is that I gave the cliff notes. Like, this is what he was accused of, hazing in the locker room, but there was also a settlement. It came out that, hey, they're going to agree that he never had any knowledge of what was going on, but hey, we can have a larger discussion for a different day. Well, David, allow me to introduce you to this different day. Let's finally actually talk about this here, and we will talk about other fun things like Aidan Chiles being Northwestern's newest quarterback. We'll talk about the basketball.
Is that fun for you? Is that fun for you? Because it's not fun for me.
Which one, the basketball one or the Chiles Northwestern? Because
both.
I think both are intriguing. Oh, David, we smiled during basketball season around these parts.
Yeah, we don't. Come on. Have you watched this Northwestern team this year? Boo Boo is gone. Spartans fans rejoice.
I've never been. That's maybe why I've been so happy the last 2 years, is because Boo Booey is out of my life. Out of my life. Anyways, sorry, I got off topic there, but I've had a conversation, and it hasn't been like an overwhelming amount of Northwestern fans, but the few conversations I've had with Northwestern fans about his exit as it pertains to the off the field thing seemed kind of split at the time. When I say it was kind of split, like half the fan base is kind of frustrated that it seems like he got, for lack of a better term, like railroaded, that this was how they ousted him. And the other half of the fan base, understandably so, straight up embarrassed that, well, they were in the headlines for these reasons, and yes, they settled. That's all fun and well, but at the same time, you are the head coach of your football program. Shouldn't like you at least have a baseline of understanding of what's going on? So, like, I know that you're just one person with one person's opinion, and I'm asking you to do a whole fan base's worth of thinking here. But truly, like individually,
Yep.
David Gold, the guy that's covered the team, how did you take this? Did you see this as like, oh, they just found their perfect out to get rid of a guy that just won 4 games in his last 2 years? Or I don't know, like, how do you slice this whole thing up? I'm sure there's not a big question here, but yeah, how do you slice it up?
No, absolutely. As someone who covered that whole scandal and like was in it from the morning I got the email from University Athletics with the suspension, the stories, everything that happened with it, there was a lot of thoughts I had. One being there was a problem inside the program. And I think what I really want to get across to your listeners is this is not an isolated one-off whistleblower looking for revenge. Gotcha. Northwestern themselves have come out and said 11 former football players corroborated that there was sexual hazing in the locker room. Okay. And the allegations of nature are vile, they're gross.
Sure.
I mean, like, I can go into detail on them, or would you prefer me not to?
Probably prefer not. That's fine, family oriented, but just know it's
Yes, they were out there. If you want to go read, if you want to go read the Daily Northwestern story from July 9th or 8th of 2023, like it lays it all out there, and like they were bad. Now, Fitz got screwed by Northwestern in the way that they handed him a 2-week suspension right in the dead period. He was going to be back the day before Big Ten Media Days. They gave him a slap on the wrist. The details came out of what was going on, and the public outcry caused the switch. Now, if Northwestern had come out originally and fired Pat Fitzgerald and they come out, why? I think everyone would have agreed that, like, hey, understandable they made this decision. The blowback was from the fact that no new allegations had come forward. It was purely that what was in the original investigation that led to the 2-week suspension came out in public and they fired him. I think that's important. They settled Fitz from the beginning and Northwestern from the beginning said Pat Fitzgerald had no direct knowledge of what was happening, right? Which I think is very important. They said he had no direct knowledge of what was happening inside the locker room. That does not mean he did not know of something. Because how I've always looked at it is college football coaches run a very tight program. They know what's going on. And if they don't, that's a bigger problem. You know what's happening inside your own locker room. Yeah. And you're going to run a program. That to me always kind of didn't add up, but I don't have any reporting to prove that he knew. The whistleblower claimed he knew. We could not verify it. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Pat Fitzgerald knew what was going on. I find it hard to believe that he had never heard of it over his 17 years as head coach at Northwestern. That's the Cliff Notes version of it. But for a school that had just went through something like the Mel Tucker scandal, I found it very interesting that Michigan State was willing to take a chance on a guy who was ousted in a very not similar way. Obviously, Mel Tucker was individually acting, but on the same type of scandal allegations of sexual misconduct in nature, even though it wasn't from Fitzgerald directly. That off the field portion of it really surprised me as well, that Michigan State was willing to, I mean, legitimately, they paid Jonathan Smith, what, $30 million to go get Pat Fitzgerald?
In the ballpark, yeah.
That's a huge, I mean, that is a huge commitment to Pat Fitzgerald.
It is.
And like, as we've talked about on the field, I don't know what he is anymore. And I don't, off the field too, you have both ways where I get it. Like, Michigan State played against Pat Fitzgerald for a lot of years and said, he's the guy we want to lead our program. But they made a big commitment to someone who had a lot of the same issues I feel like has plagued Michigan State football, at least since the Mel Tucker departure.
And I'm glad we had the conversation. It's like uncomfortable. I don't know if there is a conclusion to it, but I mean, it is worth bringing up. Yes, the Mel Tucker thing. And of course, and I hate to even say the guy's name, but like Larry.
Yes, the other one as well, but I didn't want to bring up it.
Of course not. And this happened, I mean, a while ago in the grand scheme of things, but that's a chapter that's not going to flip anytime soon here in East Lansing, whether people like it or not. That's going to be a burden Michigan State has to carry for quite some time, and for good reason. They screwed up across the entire board, literally and figuratively. So, look, I think it's, I guess, just fascinating. I don't know. I got to have a better word for it, but intriguing, interesting. I'm not sure what it is, but It's very clear that they circled Pat Fitzgerald. Like, they did this whole thing behind closed doors. I have no idea
was it,
how
like 35 minutes later, I looked up and Fitz was hired?
Oh, my God. The coffee didn't even cool down after they fired Smith. And it was already, Fitz is the guy. So, look, with everything in Michigan State's past, I like to think, and maybe this is just naive, but with the whole new regime here, president, athletic department, I like to think they did their due diligence to make sure something like this would never happen again, that more wouldn't be unearthed on Northwestern that would make this all bad. I think that was, hopefully, maybe this is wishful thinking, front of mind for everyone that made the decision, but it's not nothing. And I'm glad we had the conversation.
I will say that settlement was huge. That settlement for Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald was never going to coach again until that case was either settled or he was found like he had won the case.
Yeah.
And I will say, just from a reporter standpoint, as someone who has gone through all the legal documents in that case, discovery was good for neither side.
Okay.
And if anything from that discovery had made its way to the public, either what Fitzgerald knew and what players had said in depositions, how the school handled it, Northwestern was already looking bad. I think if you had former players who have sued Northwestern for their treatment there, and I've read a couple of their cases against Northwest, like, I think Pat Fitzgerald, like, for both sides, settling and just going your separate ways was the best thing that could happen for these two sides. And I think a lot of Northwestern fans, I'll finish on this thought. A lot of Northwestern fans wish the best for Pat Fitzgerald.
Okay.
They love Fitz. I mean, when Fitz came back this year to celebrate the Rose Bowl, the stadium broke out in the Fitz chant.
Yeah.
He is, between what he was an All-American at linebacker, like a huge head coach, like, for everything that went wrong at the end, people will always love Pat Fitzgerald. And I think outside the 1 week a year where they play Northwestern, I think everyone hopes Pat Fitzgerald is successful. I don't know from a purely on the field standpoint. I don't know if Pat Fitzgerald is going to be successful. I just don't. I cannot look at that 2022 season, tell me 3 years later how much the game has changed. And
it's got to be tough to shake. Schemes. That's a tough shake. Yeah.
They ran against Ohio State. They ran the Wildcat 9 plays in a row.
That can't be true. Oh my God.
Go look it up. Beginning of the second half, Ohio State, they're up. The game is tied 7-7. They ran the Wildcat 9 plays in a row.
That's bad.
And it's just like, I think, and like, I love Bryce Gallagher, but he was wearing a neck collar as a middle linebacker trying to guard a spread tight end and was getting run by. It just, the scheme was what Fitz played in the 90s.
Gotcha.
And it was great when you were in the Big Ten West. But what are you going to do when Oregon comes to town or USC? It's just a very different league than the one Pat Fitzgerald left, where you were playing Iowa and Purdue and all these. The Big Ten West stunk. Like, let's be very clear.
A little.
It was a bad conference of football by the end of it. Between Nebraska was always bad. Iowa was Iowa. Wisconsin fired Paul Chryst that year. Like, everything just went wrong that year. And they were still 1-11. They got blown out by Graham Mertz. And like, tough
to do. Right.
My whole thing is that 2022 season left such a bitter taste in my mouth football-wise that I have a very hard time believing that Pat Fitzgerald 3 years later with, let's be honest, a bunch of retreads at a coaching staff at times, but Jakian really scares me as a guy who never developed a quarterback at Northwestern.
Yeah.
And like, people are like, well, he was really great at Central Michigan. That was almost a decade and a half ago.
Quite some time. And like, yeah, I'm glad we had the conversation. Not the most fun conversation to have, but insightful, informative, and we're going to like just lower the temperature here. This is just more of a, hey, just a fun one to have. Aidan Chiles, my God. I always thought he would find a home somewhere in Power 4, but how about not just in the conference, David, but Michigan State's home opponent next year, Northwestern. That's right. This will be the second former Michigan State quarterback that Michigan State will face, actually. Caton Hauser, he's going to Illinois. We'll face him next year, too. But, David, quick thoughts on Aidan Chiles. Your rapid reaction was blank.
Yikers.
Okay. Well, fun. All right, let's go.
I have Chiles this year. I mean, you guys know it better than anyone. He got benched. He did not play clean football. And I'm not sure how much Northwestern football you watch this year, but in the games that they lost, it's because Preston Stone turned the ball over like a machine. Like Nebraska, he had 2 interceptions, including a back-breaking one when they were in field goal range. Illinois, he threw a bunch of interceptions. Tulane, the famous one, he had 5 turnovers. Like, for Northwestern, the thing has been turnovers. Chiles does not do a great job protecting the football. He's inconsistent in the passing game. And look, I like that we brought in Chip Kelly. It can be fun. I like the Jerry Neuheisel hire.
Jerry Neuheisel, sure. Yeah, why not?
It's fun. Yeah. I'm just skeptical that a guy who didn't work in the Big Ten is going to go to a Big Ten school and with arguably less talent because he had Marsh.
Yeah, right.
And succeed. And he came with his former head coach who they had success together in Oregon State. I find that hard to believe that he's going to be able to turn the corner at Northwestern, a place that has famously not gotten the best out of quarterbacks since Trevor Siemian, even before that.
Okay. I'm rooting for him. I mean, I don't know if I took a poll, which maybe I should do this one day. Maybe I should just tweet out, hey, you're going to root for Aidan Chiles at Northwestern? I'm rooting for the kid. I wish no ill will. I think he was actually a great leader even after he did get benched. I heard behind closed doors, he was a great teammate with Alessio. He even traveled to the Iowa game when most injured players don't travel with the team. But look, that's all the intangible stuff. I think it's a twofold thing, and one of the folds is the player himself. I mean, yes, he was turnover prone, more so definitely 2 years ago than he was last year.
I mean, 11 interceptions the year before concerns me.
He was willy-nilly with that ball, and I lauded him for how protective he was to start the year last year, but I think eventually, and this is the second fold, the protection that he got was awful. And not to pin all of his faults on the five guys in front of him, but as he was getting battered, bruised every single game, you could see why he went from – it was either basically, his first read is open. If not, then we're going all the way down to the check down. I feel like by the midway point of the season, we weren't doing reads 2, 3, and 4. Like, it was just, okay, and then we're just moving on with life because I think he lost complete faith in the offensive line, and he just really started to doubt himself at some points too. So if you can protect him, well, I think you got something there. I think the Chip Kelly offense, it gets him a little bit more lateral than a Jonathan Smith offense. But yes, we've also seen the issues too. So I'm interested to see how this shakes out for you guys. I am.
Yeah, I'm excited. At the end of the day, like, if it works, and he could be what Michigan State fans thought he was going to be.
I was going to say, it sounds like us 2 years ago.
This Northwestern team could sound really good, but I've been doing this for so many years of maybe this is the year Ryan Helinski turns it around, or hey, Mike Wright was good at Vandy for a while. What if just until I see it, I don't believe it. And Northwestern's bringing a bunch of new alignment too. They're losing their stalwart left tackle for years. If you're telling me when protection breaks down, he crumbles, it doesn't bode well for a Northwestern team that's going to be mixing new guys in.
Chiles needs to just go on an off-season retreat with his offensive linemen. And I'm not even talking practice football. Just get each other's trust. Get to know each other. Have a bonfire or two. And just, come out of that thing, iron forged as friends, and knowing that you can at least trust these guys to at least attempt to protect you. And then you'll just roll the dice and see what happens when the season actually starts. But look, before we, just have you enjoy the rest of your week here, David, we got to ask about the basketball game here. 6:30, Breslin Center. Look, BartTorvik.com. They suspect a Michigan State 13-point victory. Do you want to talk about this game? Because based on your earlier comment, it doesn't seem like basketball is necessarily the happy place for one David Gold. Do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, Michigan State's going to steamroll Northwestern. Okay. It's not going to be a close game.
Okay.
Here's what I'll say about this Northwestern team. We had our fun. Trust me. Okay. We had our Tom is the 2023-2024 season. Michigan State comes into Evanston, loses by 14, and Tom Izzo is as hot as I've ever seen, talking about how great of a team Northwestern is and how he can't wait for Boo Booey to be gone. I had a blast.
I hated
this team
that
is
guy.
Young. I think every Big Ten team hated that guy, which was fun.
Yeah.
But this Northwestern basketball team is just young. And they have the guys who played meaningful minutes last year in the Big Ten. It's Martinelli, who's going to score. He's going to put up 20, 22. But the guys around him are not ready yet. They brought in two transfers, Jaden Reed and Arrington Page. Those guys, Page was at Cincinnati last year, but never really played. Reed's coming from South Florida. The pace of the Big Ten, it's just much different. And then for these young guys, you have Trey Singleton, a 4-star freshman, Jake West, just a lot of young guys, even guys last year on the team, Angelo Cheravino, KJ Wyndham. They're just not ready to play that level of Big Ten competition yet. And defensively, too many breakdowns, too many wide open guys. Okay. They're giving up what feels like 75 to 80 points a game. It's just not it's not the Northwestern team that Michigan State fans remember just not being able to get a shot off of and scoring in the low 50s. And it was these rock fight games, and Northwestern would somehow pull out a 2 or 3 point win because Bowie would hit a floater with 12 seconds to go. It's just not that team this year. And I'm Chris Collins is a very good coach.
Yeah.
So they're scrappy, but they're just not, sure. They're foul. Singleton really is foul prone. And when they're just not deep enough, and they're not veteran enough to go in there and play with Kohler and Carr and all these other guys that they have to deal with in Breslin.
In front of the Izzone alumni too. Now, this is a rare instance because they're having 2 of those games this year. The first one was on Monday, the next one was on Thursday, and they are now 10-1 against the spread in their last 11 alumni Izzone games, with an average score of beating the spread by about 12 points now. So it's a fired up old bunch that we have. All the millennials, all the boomers. Hey, they can get lit there. So it's always a good atmosphere with the Izzone alumni for the X factor of the game. But
I'm hoping Fitz is coming out to hype the crowd up. Let's get this rivalry started. We got Fitz, Bajakian, we got Chiles on our side now. Let's get this rolling a little bit between Evanston and East Lansing.
Let's do it. Bajakian doing the ceremonial ball toss to start the game. Ooh, let's go. Let's get it.
I wouldn't trust Mike Bajakian to throw anything.
I laugh because I'm actually scared. That's where that comes from. But David, this has been awesome. I know I said, hey, let's talk for 15-ish minutes. We're now going on 30 minutes. So thanks a ton, not just for all your insight, your knowledge, but your time. I truly love this conversation. Anything you want to shout out here before we let you go and enjoy the rest of your week here?
No, I mean, as I've said, wishing nothing best for Coach Fitz and the team up there. He was a legend at Northwestern. He's earned the respect. He'll be in the Northwestern Hall of Fame one day. I have no doubts about that. When that game comes to East Lansing, it's on. But until then,
let's go.
Let's just both beat Michigan. How about that?
Hey, you know what? What a great way to end it. That's what I'm talking about. I'd love to drag you back on when the time comes. Pat Fitzgerald 1-0 against Kyle Whittingham. That's right. You're darn
David Braun 1-0 against Kyle Whittingham.
Let's go. That's right.
So on that note, always beat the blue, because I cannot stand them.
See, always knew I liked you, David. This is a great time, man. All right, guys. Until next time. Hey, next time you hear from us, we'll be talking portal later on Thursday night. We're going to be breaking down whatever happens in this basketball game here. And guys, you just know it. Portal, basketball, portal, right here on Locked On Spartans. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Love you all. Go